Let me tell y'all something. I told y'all that the runtime of Sinners is 2 hours and 17 minutes. The runtime of our chat last week was 2 hours and 16 minutes. I knew it was going to be in there because that's how we do. But quite frankly, a lot of us have watched the movie twice, 3 times, some for the first time over the last weekend. So we did a poll. People message me all the time, hey, when are we talking about Sinners? And I'm like, you missed it already, buddy. But it's cool because I'm a woman of the people. What we watch, it is what we watch for a reason. So I want you tapped in. So that's why we have part 2. Now, if you were available for part 1, that is great. If you just want to sit and listen in to how we break down film and everything that we love, that's great. You should be on our YouTube, subscribe to _@ what we watch, and make sure you're tapped the fuck in. But today we're going to really get into it again for a shorter amount of time. We've got 45 minutes today. But happy What We Watch Wednesday. This is the Sinners Part 2 chat. Make sure you are ready for our film festival in August. Please make sure that you are sharing and retweeting. And if you have a short film that you want to show at our amazing film festival, that you do that and you submit your project on whatwewatch.net/events. Secondly, we have the app coming out. Everything we do here is going to be on a bigger scale. It's going to be amazing. We've got investors, we've got grants. Everything is working out really well. So very, very excited about the What We Watch app. You need to be there. If you're here and you love it, just think about this on a much larger scale. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. But Sinners is fun. Okay, so who's tell me in the chat who's been at watch number 1. I'm ecstatic to even say that I can have a group of people in a room and the movie has been watched more than once. Like, that's a real poll I have to do. Who's only watched the movie once? Give me a 100 emoji if you've watched the movie one time. It's not shade. It's great. That's what you're supposed to do. Watch the movie one time. All right, give me a clap if you watched the movie twice. That's me. I've watched it twice. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you've watched it 3 or more times. I'm into this. I'm super into this. Okay, because some people have watched it more than three or more times. But clap for the twice and 100 emoji for the 1. Okay, KP, I see you. I'm into that. All right, great. So I'm glad that we're here back for Sinners Chat Part 2. And all of my What We Watchers for the first time, second, and third time are in here for Sinners. All right. I wanted to first talk a little bit about the business behind this film. There's a lot of people saying a lot of stuff, right? Tons of people saying so many things about the art and the experience itself, which I want you to know I have been doing this for a very long time, and I am not nearly as annoyed as everyone else is. I want you to know I am ecstatic that there is this much conversation about one movie. I feel like 10 movies I watch a year should have this much conversation around them, and it's mostly just me. But that's okay, because that's why we're here at What We Watch, and that's why we've solved for that, because we get to enjoy what we watch. Sinners, makeup, wardrobe, the gaffers, the hairstylists, the props team, the cinematic team. Like, everybody did so well. The cinematographer, the DP, she was one of them that shot in IMAX. She is amazing. She's like one of the first women to ever do this. I think she's the only woman to do this. What the work that she did in Sinners to ensure that it's all over all of the screens and all the special 70 millimeters. That's because of her and Ryan Coogler's work. And so I really just wanted to focus and celebrate that specifically. And obviously all of the actors, but really everyone that's a part of the crew, the staff. Like, y'all motherfucking did that. And I don't want to just focus on the fact that Haley Stanfield and MBJ and Delroy Lindo did their thing. You did your thing too. Those of you behind the camera, you did your motherfucking thing with Ryan Coogler as well. He couldn't have done it without you, and I'm so thankful. Diner in the Dash, welcome to the stage. If you want to come up, please come on up and chat. Don't be shy. This is what we watch. This is not even about me. This is about us. So, Dine in the Dash, talk to me.
Well, yeah, first, just based on what you just said, I'm not going to remember any names, but I saw so many people that were like retweeted onto my timeline just saying like, I'm this person, I live in this like small town in the Delta in Mississippi, I was a consultant on this or that or whatever, and then
Yes.
they got to engage with all these people that watched the movie and be like, oh yeah, we used this from this and we used that from that. I wish I had specific examples, but it's been a few days or like a week now since I saw those, and yeah, but it was really cool seeing all of that in the
Right?
immediate aftermath of the movie. And that was really cool. I kept my comments super brief last time just because there were so many people here.
Right.
I'm trying to think of a couple other things I wanted to touch on. Um, well, and one of them was like, I know you love horror. I am not a person that loves horror at
Mm-hmm.
all. I like stay away from it mostly. And
Yeah.
I know this. But like a movie like The Substance, and when like a very and Sinners now, like where a movie that's super critically acclaimed comes up, and I know there's more to it than just like the
The
slasher and the
substance.
whatever, and it's
Right.
like a
Right.
bunch of stupid high school kids getting lost in the woods, whatever. So, and people touched on it last week, where the first 30 or 40 minutes of the movie were so good at just putting the watcher in the place and time, and you could see everything, and it was so real. And like even the
Yes.
specific shot you mentioned of the daughter walking across the street
You
from the
you
store
felt
for the
it,
garage.
right?
Yeah, yeah, and I was there and I was with all the characters. But in the back of my head, like I'd seen the previews. I didn't get to see it until the Monday after it came out, so I had seen people gushing over it. I wasn't like super spoiled, but I knew the vampires were coming. But
Mm.
like watching the 30 and 40 minutes at the beginning as someone who's sort of disinclined for horror a little bit, I was like, how are vampires gonna come into this like such a real.
Aren't you so obsessed with how they did that? Uh-oh. Can everyone hear me? Did we lose him? Did we lose Diner? Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear Diner?
I can hear Diner as well. Or I think he might have got cut off. I heard him
Yeah,
before.
you probably
But
got cut off.
I think he's a listener now. And he might be coming back. I don't know.
Sorry, yeah, my app crashed, I think. Sorry.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, there he
I
is.
was like, this, again, this is why we're creating the app. So bear with us on every technical difficulty we may experience over the next 45 minutes. We're all good. Thanks for rocking with it. Diner, please finish your statement.
Oh yeah, so I was just gonna say, like in the back of my head, I was like, how are the vampires gonna come into this and it's gonna enter into this different level of thing
Yeah.
without me hating it? Because I'm sort of disinclined to sort of, if I'm
And we,
feeling it and I think it's real, and then I know all this magical stuff that whatever is gonna come into it later. I'm like, yeah. But
yeah.
this in the scene that really turned it for me was the music scene where he's playing and and he sort of leaves the juke joint and then he's going through time and everything. In that scene, that music scene was so awesome. I was like, all right, we're on a different playing field now.
Yeah,
And
we're cooking, man.
that
We
was
are
like the
cooking.
transition in this the switch flipped, and it was so good, and I was just sold on the whole thing from then on. And I was like, why did I ever doubt it? Why did I think that this was going to not be great? And so yeah, that was awesome. And then I was also
Yeah.
going to say, because I know I've talked about being a twin on here before, and I will never not be a little bit resentful that it's always the same actor playing two people. But I understand that you can't cast two different actors to play identical twins. So I do understand that.
Well,
And as long as the actor is clearly playing two different people, as Michael B. Jordan, which isn't always true in twin movies, the actor that plays the two of them is just sort of like, maybe like,
I
as,
love.
as
Let
long
me
as you're
let me
playing two people, which Michael B. Jordan was clearly doing, I'm down with that too. So, yes.
I love that we have Happy What We Watch Wednesday. I love that we have our twin representation in you, Diner in the Dash. Thank you so much. It's very important. There's not conversations that you get the twin perspective. All right, what twins are talking about this movie? Name five. They in here. They in here. And I think that's so important. Two things you talked about with horror, which let's y'all know me. If you don't know me, welcome to What We Watch. I have been trying to get people to enjoy two things: horror and animation. Put some respect on horror and animation. And Ryan Coogler comes out with Sinners 2025, all right, and motherfucking delivers. He delivers. And he says, you know where I got the idea for my vampire? From an animated movie. And I'm like, all right, this is it, guys. We are full speed ahead. The train is full speed ahead. So thank you, Darting the Dash, for showing that. Again, upon second watch, that first 30 to 40 minutes, quote me on this here, guys. If you have watched it one time, that second time, the first 30 to 40 minutes of that film are going to hit so hard you won't even believe it. You'll be like, oh my gosh, this is brilliant. I want to welcome Robert to the stage. You didn't get to chat last time with us. So I wanted to give you I think, did you get to chat last time with us? I wanted to give you an opportunity to come up here and chat with us.
I
Talk to
didn't.
us. Go ahead.
I didn't get to chat last time. I was just getting off a 13-hour flight, so no, I did not get a chance
Perfect.
last time.
Perfect. Come on up here and let's talk. Let's talk, filmmaker. What's up? How did you feel?
No, I absolutely loved the film. I think the best piece of marketing I've ever seen for a film was Ryan Coogler talking about the different formats for IMAX. I thought that was absolutely brilliant because that
Hello?
is, he took technical jargon and made it simple enough for the people who are not technical like that to understand why they should go see it in this format. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. I had people who
Oh,
are not film nerds like that talk to me about it. It's like, what do you think? Which format should we see it? And I said, listen to Ryan. Don't listen to me. Listen to Ryan. Ryan told you which one you go see it in if it's in
Robert,
your area.
aren't you so excited about this?
And I loved hearing him talk about it because I that's how excited I get about talking about film. So seeing somebody else get that excited me about it, and I wanted to talk to other people. So I'm like really happy he did
What we
that.
watch. Yeah.
And then also when he was talking about Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, about being the inspiration between the vampire's eyes, I was like that movie Puss in Boots is Last Wish
Animation.
was. I did not expect that movie to be that good because I didn't really enjoy the first one, but the second one was absolutely incredible.
Man,
And
I'm
like Death, the
you
Wolf,
found my
everything like that.
community, man.
So just like all that put together and his inspirations behind Sinners and just the acting, the cinematography, the music. Oh my God, the music. I've been listening to the soundtrack nonstop since I've heard the film. Since I saw the film. And
I got
Ludwig.
the vinyl pre-ordered, okay? Let's talk
Oh,
about it.
I feel you. I need to do that too. I
Talk
need to
about
do that too. But that soundtrack, Miles Canton, I was not expecting that type of voice to come out of him when he started singing. I was like, whoa, okay, who is this guy? And that's like that voice. And
it.
then
Yep.
Jamie, I can't remember her last name. Perline. Her voice was amazing.
What is it?
Every
James Lawson?
Jamie, it was Jamie something. I can't remember her last name is,
Jamie
but
Lawson.
Perline was absolutely amazing. Everything in music wise was incredible. Like
Telling
the amount of attention to detail, the care that went behind not only the music, the history, the costumings, the set design, everything like that. There was such care and just unbelievable care went into this movie. The research, the understanding of the blues, of the history of the South in the 1930s, the sharecropping. It's not stuff that we typically get to see. So it was just the amount of detail and
you.
care that went into this film is absolutely amazing.
It's also something I said, and just happy what we watch Wednesday, y'all. Robert is a fellow. We've worked together on set multiple times before. We'll probably continue to work on set. No, we will. Um, but him and I exchange, how this scene was shot. This obscure scene was shot in this film or this TV show all the time. Robert is always sending me the greatest. Like, hey, I know you'd appreciate this. So to his point about us really nerding out on how things are shot and how they come up on screen. I mean, that is my algorithm, right? Your Instagram algorithm compared to mine. I know you probably got a bunch of horny stuff because y'all be horny, and ain't no problem with that. Because Sinners also celebrates the horny. But me and Robert, we got a bunch of all right. This is how we shot this one, and this is what we had to do to be creative. And so it's always very exciting to see that celebrated on a larger scale. We don't. A lot of the conversations around filmmaking is like, oh, you're a cinephile and you think you know more, and oh, you did it. And it's to a point where, like, yes, we do know more. We study this. We live this. Like, you have an expertise in, Tej as a lawyer, right? Tej, welcome to the stage. Welcome to my lovely co-host, right? I would never be like, oh, this lawyer thinks he knows more law than me. Well, of course he does. That's what he does. So I feel like that language around that has, like, come down a little bit, and now everyone feels like they can talk about it, and I don't feel offended. That's exciting to me, and I just want you to know in this room that it's exciting to me that you feel so confident about how you feel about this film that you're sharing it with the world. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. This isn't about that. And so, and even Ryan says that it's not about being right or wrong. It's about a feeling, it's about an experience. And I've talked about that for 5 years now. How does this movie make you feel? A lot of times you can walk out of a movie and you don't feel anything. You're like, oh, okay, another movie. Cool. Great. You know, did I really spend that 2.5 hours watching another movie? I don't know. But here you're like, damn, I want to tell you that I didn't like it because you need to hear that I didn't like it. You need to hear that I think this is weird. I'm like, that's great. Talk to me. Tell me what you think is weird about it. And so I just want to celebrate that. Ryan Coogler talks about music, right? I feel like there's not enough conversation. That's why, Juanita, I want you to go next. Um, this movie is about music. The main prop, is a guitar for Miles Catton's character, Sammy. This movie is about music, the history of music, the effects of music, the power of music, the spirituality of music, black music, right? And so that should be the crux of this conversation. That's just straight from what Ryan Coogler's talking about. This movie is about music. And it's not about vampires, but it integrated vampires. It's not about the division of, race, but it includes that because that's all intertwined. So I would love for like the music historians to have a good time talking about this. You know what I mean? But go ahead, Juanita. Welcome to the stage.
Hey, thank you. Before I get into the music, I do want to just give a quick shout out to all the women in the film who worked on the film. Just incredible. We know Ruth E. Carter is a phenomenal costume designer, but set designer also woman hooped. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal work.
DP, woman.
Woman hooped. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal work. Just the props buyer, like everything that you see on screen, a woman touched it for the most
Okay.
part. So just keep that in mind. Yeah. And then like we're coming at the end of April. April is kind of known as Divas Month because a lot of like divas are Aries. So just
Hmm.
looking at the women who had purpose in making the film, the women characters who had purpose in moving the film forward, from Annie to Grace to even Mary, like using her whiteness because
Yep.
she had to be white. Like, and that was another thing about that conversation. Like, is she white? Is she not? She is, and she had to be for the sake of the film. I think that people don't like are like losing that. Like, no, she had to be. It's a complicated whiteness though. It's not one she wanted.
Mm. And that's not
So
something a lot of people want to entertain, right? Because
right,
what's
right,
more
right,
complicated is being black. No one wants to
right.
talk about the complicated whiteness.
Like she was basically an orphan in some capacity, and I don't think people really like grasp that. But getting to the music, because I mentioned this last week, but I didn't actually get to say it in the space. Um, Sinners in and of itself, it reminded me of Donny Hathaway, and it reminded me of Donny Hathaway because I don't know if any like who's all familiar with Donny Hathaway's story, but Donny Hathaway was paranoid schizophrenic, and his paranoia stemmed from white people and his fear that they were quote unquote stealing his music or stealing his genius or stealing his ideas. And his suicide is shrouded in mystery and it's an alleged like murder or whatever. So in watching Sinners, seeing Remick hunt Sammy, like all those people got turned into vampires because they wouldn't give Sammy up. And when you or at least that's what they said. Now
Hmm.
when you get to the music being what called them, and these are like literal bloodsuckers who want to steal your talent and draw and whatever. Like Remick was after Sammy for his talent, not
Yep.
just because he was black, but because of his talent. You have a gift that that supersedes this realm. Like it transcends where we are.
Yep.
And that is the gift that they're after when you look at black music, when you look at black love, black
Correct.
life, black joy. These are gifts that transcend like where we are.
Agreed.
These are things that are that people try to siphon and you kind of like and some people have success, but honestly, we never run out. So,
Yeah,
and-
I think, and thank you for saying that. I'm going to make sure everybody gets a chance to talk today. So if I cut you off, don't take it offense. You want to talk, everybody else wants to talk too. So I'm going to be very, very kind and considerate to everyone and make sure everyone gets about 2 minutes to talk. But thank you, Juanita, because that's something that's very important. You know, we talk about climax and turning points in films and like the dialogue that supports all of that, right? We talked a lot about that in the Sinners Part 1 chat. Make sure you subscribe and comment hashtag Sinners because you know we announcing a winner at the end of this. Make sure you subscribe and you comment. If you're not subscribed, you're not winning. But when Remick speaks, not only of what Juanita said of wanting Sammy, but later on he explains what bridges the community, right? Which is shared memories, which takes us into the vampire horror part of it. It's not just yours anymore, right? And what, as a Black artist, how does that feel, right? It's not yours anymore, it's ours. And a lot of times that's where the issues come in. That's where the vampire stealing you comes in, and that's the negative connotation of it. Even though Remick is, you know, dancing in there showing you that's fellowship and love, but it's like fellowship and love, but where are the boundaries? Because this is my shit. You do not understand and own and have the power and the history understanding of my music and my talent. That's God given. That's spiritual. That's I'm the griot here type shit, you know? And so that fellowship and love, you know, that's my favorite, y'all. Fellowship and love. Fellowship and love. I'm like, dang, he might have got me with that one. Because I like the fellowship and love. But it's like, you're stealing shared memories. Remember, Stack said that. There's dialogue. Shared memories. That's stealing. You're stealing it. I don't want to. But that's where again the vampires come in and say, hey, you know, I need your consent to steal, which is so fucking cool. Tej, welcome to the stage. We had an outline today. I just want to make sure that you have an opportunity because we've gotten through half of the outline so far. But talk to us a little bit about the actors, the gaffers, the people that are like the heart of this film and not just what we're seeing on screen through the actors, but who created the art and
Mhm.
celebrate that work.
Hi everybody. I
Oh
think
no,
like,
I'm sorry. This is for Tej. Give me one
oh,
second.
my bad.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Tej.
So I heard Coogler say that the part of the miracle of this movie being made is that his team, which is really, really growing in terms of their profiles, were all available to do this. The people he's been working with on his films before were available, but they had to do it in this small window, obviously. His score guy is probably the has the movie score title belt right now. Also works with Nolan. Did Oppenheimer. Is also doing the Odyssey, the new Nolan movie, right? He's got people on his team that are now getting calls to direct their own movies now. So all these people are ascending in their careers, which thanks to their hard work and also the hard work of Coogler. And all of a sudden now, I need everybody to come back to help me put this film together. And so it's obviously that this was a labor of love from the costume design to and it's a period piece. It is steeped in art, and this is on film. Kugler said that means his performance had to be ready. We don't have 10, 15 takes to get this. One
Right.
of these 4 or 5 takes is going to be the take that makes the film. So you got to show up to work professional and ready to go every day. You
Every day.
cannot have an off day. We are on film. We're using the biggest fucking film camera you've ever seen. We cannot just do take after take after take.
This
Everybody's
is
got to
not
be
digital,
ready.
baby. This is not
This is
digital,
not
baby.
digital. And so you feel that work, that effort, that craftsmanship in the movie, from the way that it looks to the performances to the way that it really puts you in that place. I was on a podcast earlier talking about this movie, and someone said, I've never seen cotton fields rendered to look quite like they do in this film. They are beautiful, and they don't give you the same feeling that you usually get when you see a cotton field in a movie about this time period, because usually the person making that movie don't look like you. And even if they do, they might be portraying something totally different than what Ryan Coogler's trying to portray. Those cotton fields look fucking beautiful, and it's like that
Thank
level of
you.
craftsmanship is really appreciated across the
Thank you
film.
for
So,
saying
so,
that.
so big props to everyone who worked on the film in any way, shape, or form.
Thank you for sharing that. Down to the motherfucking plantation, y'all. You're not seeing shit like this. A lot of what you just said reminds me too of the set design around Wicked and how regardless of how you felt about the film, if it didn't make you cry for 35 minutes like it did for me afterwards, that's fine. But there's a care and there's work being done here to make this shit look like this so you're never taken out of the movie, right? And that fucking matters. So thank you for sharing that, teach, because that makes so much sense. Like down to the way that they built the cotton for cornbread to get cooked in front of his wife. Okay, that was beautiful. Kieran, welcome to the stage. I want to make sure you got everybody got 2 minutes to chat. I want to make sure everyone gets in, and I am prioritizing the people that didn't get to speak in Sinners Chat Part 1. Kieran, talk to me. How many times have you watched the movie?
I've seen it one time, and I gotta
Okay.
say it's
Okay.
unbelievable.
All right. Give me the first time watcher feelings. How did you feel? What's going on?
Motherfucker like me, Haley Steinfeld told me to come outside because she want to bite my neck. I'm letting it happen.
Okay. Okay. So
That's all
you
I had to say.
so you gonna be a vampire minute 45.
Oh, I'm selling my soul.
Okay. Okay. So you with Remick?
I'm dancing. I'm hitting them Irish folk steps like I'm in Dublin. I'm going crazy. I'm
I
drinking
love
beer at
Dublin.
9 o'clock in the morning like it's college football season. I'm going
Okay.
crazy.
Okay, so how would you have managed Haley with Stack? Like you just going dirty Mac, or what you gonna do? How you gonna handle that? Because she was like with Stack.
The greatest scorers in the history of the game had someone defending them. Did they not?
Okay. Okay. I like that. I like that. I like that. This is
Josh
what we
Allen not
watched.
gonna stop me either.
You said what?
Josh Allen not gonna stop me either.
Okay. Period. Okay, you had two defenders on you. They double teamed you, and you still not stopping. Okay.
I'm
I'm into
Kobe
it.
Bryant.
I'm into that. I'm into that. Okay. We gonna shoot or shoot. That's what we gonna do.
No, but in all seriousness, though, the movie was absolutely unbelievable. Like T said, though, like the beauty of almost every single shot you had, though, like just it. I feel like it encapsulated that time period so well. And then also like I think to me it was the small things though. It was how I mean even whenever he's talking to Haley Steinfeld's character like at the train station or even just like taking Sammy with him around there. I thought it was beautiful. I thought the connection between the cousins, like the cousinhood. I don't know what
Yeah. Yeah.
as someone that grew up without siblings, and I just grew up with my older male cousins. Like we really did look up to them so much, and
I
I think it was
love
really cool.
that.
Like how my older cousins kind of looked at me, protected me the same way that I think Smoke and Stack really weren't playing about Sammy as well. I thought it was a really just beautifully crafted story that
Yes.
had so many different relatable moments that you just would not have in general. And I feel like there were so many moments in this film where you sit there and ask yourself, like, "Oh, Ryan Coogler, are you really taking it there?" And hell yeah, he did, time and time and time again. I thought it was a beautiful subversion of expectations, especially whenever it comes to like just vampire films. It wasn't really just a vampire film, but
Right.
overall a beautiful movie. One of the best movies I've seen. I got to see it in 70 millimeter film at up here in New York, which was gorgeous. I got to
I
watch
love
his
that.
video. If you guys haven't seen that video that he did with Kodak, might be the greatest talent brand crossover collaboration I've ever seen in the history of film. That was,
This
or
is
just
what we
just
watched.
in the history of whatever it is. Like as someone that works in media and has
Yeah.
opportunities to work with numerous brands and whatnot. There's not many that kind of are as
This
synced
is what we
together as
watched.
that.
We all know the Kodak video. Like that's what we can
Yeah,
call it
that's
at this
beautiful.
point, right? That's the Kodak video. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, the
Um,
Kodak video.
the Kodak video. You know who I'm talking about. We're not talking about no other Kodak video. It's the Kodak video, the Ryan Coogler Kodak video. Thank you, Karen, for sharing that. A little cousinhood, the celebration of the cousins. That's something that we haven't talked about really quite yet. That's why I love that we did a Sinners Part 2 chat, because Smoke and Stack were brothers and twins. We can talk about that all day, but Sammy was also family, right? And there was dialogue that was concrete around that as well. I'm your dialogue queen. I'm a screenwriter. That's the thread of the film. It brings it all together with everyone else. But the writing is so intentional. There's so many pieces of dialogue where Sammy has to explain to Mary's character or to someone else and say, "Oh yeah, that's my cousin. We cousins. That's my cousin. My daddy, da 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 da. My daddy, his older brother. Whatever. His daddy's older brother." And so that building of that relationship, kind of there was conversations when it first came out around, is this for black people? Quite frankly, absolutely. but you don't have to be a Black American specifically, right? As a Black Latina, I feel like that's important to say. You don't have to be a Black American of the Mississippi Delta to understand and feel like so many parts of this were relatable, right? You don't have to be a Chinese American necessarily to understand how much of the experiences that you see on screen were so relatable. You have a cousin, you have a home, you have someone you love, you've ever dated, you've ever been to the club, you've ever watched a vampire film or know anything about vampires, this movie is for you. It's in every single way. So I want to let Maine come up to the stage. Maine looks like a new face up here that hasn't gotten to speak. Happy What We Watch Wednesday. This is Sinners Chat Part 2. Talk to me.
Hey, what's going on? So I seen Sinners four
Okay.
times. I ain't ashamed of it. I ain't ashamed of it. No shame in my game. I'll see it
Okay,
again.
I'll watch it
You
again.
know, Period. The two things I want to take away from the movie Sinners. Number one, I think, me being black and from the South, I know, like you said, you don't have to be black to understand Sinners, to feel
Yeah.
it. But to me, it hits on a different level being born and raised in
Amen.
the South. I grew up in Atlanta, born and raised in the city. Um, but outside of Atlanta is nothing but rural areas, plantation vibes all the way. And kind of growing up in the city kind of makes you forget there's the rest out there in Georgia is pretty ugly.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, so like I mean, it's just what it is. But yeah, I was like, wow, like kind of like, and it also just we're not far too removed from the 1920s, the
wait,
1900s.
man, you cooking now. You cooking.
And what instantly a period that brought me was the Reconstruction. Black Reconstruction. It's a great book by W.E.B. Du Bois. Everybody should check it out. One of the greatest books ever. It's
Seconded.
long as hell, about 700 pages,
Second.
but it's all worth it. All worth the read. I encourage everybody to read Black Reconstruction. You'll learn a lot about the South and how they undermine Reconstruction, how it paved the way from Jim Crow. How it's set to say it's the war on drugs. So it's just a so the movie scene just kind of brought all that back into my head. And I didn't understand. I didn't get it until like the second watch
Huh.
because I was just too much on the edge of my seat on the first
Right.
watch. I was like stressed out. I'm like, are my face about to die? I was too emotionally attached to almost understand like the meanings
Oh,
behind it. That's how great it was because it just blinded my whole logic the first watch. But then as I watched it again, it was just like, wow, I'm connecting these dots. And also just to close out like the religious standpoint
mm.
of it. At the end, when Remick went in the church, blood on his face was the big scratch
You
on
mean
his
Sammy?
and
Yeah, yeah, Sammy.
Sammy, I'm sorry. And his dad said, he didn't even say, how are you doing? Are you okay? He just said, put the banjo down. Like, come on, like, and it kind of pays way of like that's why like maybe a lot of people feel like they're rejecting Christianity and the church because it's judgmental. They don't feel at home. They getting pushed away, and they just
Wow.
reject it. So it's like he didn't even check on his emotional well being. All Pops was too focused on what's the banjo. Tell him to put it down instead of asking
Wow.
him. If he would have asked him, "Hey, how are you doing?" and I bet a whole different scenario would have played
Thank you
out.
for saying that. Thank you for pointing that out. Thank you for joining the chat because you know what? You're right. When he walked in, I in the audience, I also was like, oh shit, I don't know what I would do if a man walked in there. But it's a church, right? Shouldn't not only because he was welcomed with open arms by his father, right? But everyone in the church just kind of stared at him as though he was some sort of leper. And
He felt judged.
and there was judgment in the house of the Lord, right?
Mm.
And
Yes. Yes.
I think that when the dad said something like, "Hey, put the guitar down," um, it does. It's like we skipped over blood dripping down your face, right? We skipped over all of that, and we said, "Here, let me hug you. Let me take you in," right? So maybe there was like multi language there. Like we're not judging you. We're not even going to acknowledge that you have blood because you're okay. You're welcome in the house of the Lord as you are, but I still need to put you to get. I need you to put the guitar down because I don't want the devil to come in with you. Which is why we get that shot right after where he leaves with his guitar in his hand in the car that Stack left with him, right? Because they all dead or vampires now. So that was a really great call out. I love that. I love that you noticed that and said, hey, like what is that saying about the church and worship. Because to me, the thing that stuck out most religiously about it was Remick started saying that prayer with him. I said, now this is how you make a movie. That is when I said, this is how you make a movie. I said, okay, finally we're getting to the nitty gritty. And I watch a lot of film and I've seen a lot of stuff happen and I've seen stuff close to that. But never have I ever seen the villain of the film, Remick, join someone in prayer that they were about to kill, and then they, they got cooked. But thank you so
While
much,
a
man, for
baptism was
joining.
going on too. That was the craziest thing. He was
You
dunking
said
him in the
what,
water
Karen?
like he was dunking him in the water like it was a baptism as well while saying the prayer.
Exactly. I mean, Ryan Coogler was just, man. He was on his Zoom, man. Like that's we're talking about S tier. I'm very, very heavily online guy. We're talking about S tier filmmaking and acting right now. Welcome Chunky to the stage, and then Angela. I know you got to talk a little bit last time, but I think you got cut off. Chunky, welcome to the stage. Talk to me. We are talking about really celebrating the work behind the film as well, and like what really made that art come to life for you. What was your experience like? Chunky, y'all gotta chunky but funky. You gotta give me some. Go ahead and unmute. Okay. If not, we'll go Angela, and then we'll come back to you, Chunky, and then we'll come back to those of you with your hands up. Angela, talk to me. I know you didn't get to say everything last time.
All right, so I watched it for a second time. I had to go see the IMAX
Yes.
at our
Did you have
IMAX
your
theater.
glasses this time?
I did. It was a very like it was one of the most beautiful movies I can remember watching since Spider-Verse. It was magnificent.
I'm going Spider
So
Verse,
just
bro.
like listen, black people just do things in films, you know? But I think, one thing that I don't really see discussed enough about is the Native American scene with the indigenous people. I think that's very important because that reflects so much on society. Like, hey, we warned you, we're getting the fuck out. Like, like first, like I just thought that was brilliant. Like when I rewatched it, it's like
Okay.
we told you, like the fact that like you would rather let this stranger in than like a bunch of people. Do you like we because they all looked like serious individuals, right? The fact that you would let the stranger in because he's white over us when we're telling you this guy is dangerous, I think that just speaks so many volumes to how society has constantly treated Native American and indigenous people. The second thing is, at the end of the movie, he talks about how before the sunset, that was one of the happiest moments of his life. And it made me think to
Yes.
the Tulsa Massacre. When the Tulsa Massacre happened, there was like a dance at like one of the local high schools that a lot of the younger kids were getting ready for. They were getting ready to go to that dance. It was supposed to be one of the greatest nights of their life at that age until all hell broke loose. And it like reminded me like even like in moments of trauma, like black people can still take like a positive thing that happened to them, like yeah, I saw a bunch of people die, but before the sunset, that was one of the happiest days of his life. And I think
I was
that's
dancing and singing and having a
yeah,
time. Mm-hmm.
he got some cootie cat, like, he was living. And then like
Very true.
the the last thing is, and it kind of like made me tear up, is like there's a scene where Sammy's talking to Delroy Lindo's character and he's saying like, this is all my fault. Like my dad told me that I bring these spirits around with me. And it's like this is like a kid who's like
Dude,
witnessing
right.
all this terrible, like all these terrible things happening to him, and in the moment he's like, this is my fault. Like he needed a hug so bad. Like and it makes me mad that we never saw him get one. Like despite all the traumatic things he went through in that movie, like he just needed like a hug. Like
He got his hug from his guitar, girl.
yeah, like it just
He loves his
like
guitar.
that's just oh my goodness. And then like the last thing I just want to bring up, and I didn't even like think about that, is everyone in that movie must have smelled awful. Like not like the actual actors, but like
Not it
Cornbread was
smelled crazy
literally,
in there.
yeah, like he was literally picking cotton, and then he was like, "Oh, y'all going to a party? Bet, let's go." Like no washcloth, no little water, no nothing. Like so, everyone in that movie must have smelled crazy in the juke joint. That's all.
Not the olfactory lesson in history here that, if you've been on Twitter, like it's like, and that's probably there's like racism and history behind that as well. But yeah, we live in 2025 and we're pretty damn lucky because there's like shame around not showering now. You know, I'm glad
Ain't
we
no
did that.
shame here. I'm trying to smell them pheromones.
All right. All right, bro. Get Get this guy out of here. Oh my god. But maybe you go 2 or 3 days without showering. That ain't got nothing to do with me. But what I'm saying is, like, there's some shame around it. So it must have smelled crazy in there. But you have to understand, we're thinking that from 2025. In 1920, everybody was like, nah, everybody smell real good in here. You smell real good. You smell like that hoodoo. I like that. You smell like you've been out in the cotton field. That's sexy. I like that. Like, you have to, like, remove yourself from 2025 and put yourself in 1932 Mississippi. That smells good. I want to welcome Bruce to the stage, and then I'll let Allegedly come up and speak as well. Go ahead, Bruce. Talk to me. Tell me how you felt. We got 2 minutes each. I want to make sure that people get to speak. So go ahead.
Hey family, long time no see. But yeah, no, I saw Sinners on Friday. It was an absolute delight, a communal event. I feel like there was like 80% dudes in there, and we were all talking to each other during the course of a couple scenes. I heard somebody say that was some real nigga shit right there, but I won't say that it was me. It was me. Um, and yeah, no, the set design, the lighting, I was just talking to my girlfriend about the lighting. Like everyone's skin, she said, looked amazing. Everyone looked just gorgeous.
Right?
It even in the dark, like they just looked amazing. And there's a video of Ryan Coogler sitting on the ground during one of the juke joint scenes during what's her face's performance. And
Jamie. Hmm.
yeah, and Jamie's performance, she was amazing. Um, yeah, even that lighting in that video was, like you could just see that there was time spent, there was
Here.
thought.
Hmm.
Uh, there was care, yeah, taken to how we would look on camera at night. Um, and I truly appreciated that the color.
Absolutely.
It was just beautiful. It was a beautiful film.
I fully agree. I'm glad you brought that up because, a part of my outline today was really celebrating the workers behind the art. You see a video, you see a clip, you see a movie, and, as a filmmaker, I'm obsessed with it because I understand and have been in the trenches. But you don't have to do that to really, like, sit back and appreciate that they've been working on this movie since at least 2022 as a group. And God only knows how long Ryan Coogler has been writing and trying to get it made, probably 10 years. So when you talk about time and care and making Black people look at, that's a historical thing in film as well, that a lot of times they would not cast Black people, not only because of racism, but they didn't know how to light them. And so for a while, there was not anybody advocating to light Black skin in the way that it would shine and, look its best, right? There was nobody taking the time to do color theory and lighting and for a white person standing next to a Black person, right? You don't want to wash the whiter person out too much, but you need to be able to see the beautiful features of the Black person, right? And yes, I'm biased. I am Black, so I'm speaking about it like that. But it's true, like in the history of filmmaking, there has been language studies, advocates, conversations around how do you make sure that Black people in this movie or this music video are lit, that, understands and takes consideration their undertones and their, our kind of oiliness is better, which is why we stay so youthful. Shout out to us, right? And so that matters, and that's a part of the story of this film, right? So I'm glad there's so much care, and I'm glad you realized that, Bruce. Allegedly, Adrian, talk to me. Got 2 minutes. Tell me about how you felt about this film and the work and care that went into it.
Okay, so I loved it. Did I love it as much as I love Black Panther and Fruitville Station? No. Black
Okay.
Panther was a spiritual experience, as we
Okay.
all know, and Fruitville Station was just, I mean, it was groundbreaking. But whatever. I do also feel like this film is groundbreaking. Um, I wrote a little piece about it. Y'all can go look at my page and see the little piece I wrote about it. But I want to bring up three things that nobody seems to be talking about. One, I really need people to stop saying Remick was not racist. Remick was racist. Even though he wanted to party at the juke joint, he definitely used his white privilege in a way that would give him more power because he knew that they could not leave the juke joint and were basically trapped there. Once he arrived, they couldn't like go get help or go to a policeman. Be for real, it's Mississippi. Number two, nobody is talking about the wooden coins. The wooden coins were one of the details that I personally appreciated as a Black American that nobody seems to be talking about, and how big a deal that was, and why it basically put the sharecroppers and those who profited from their business, like the juke joint, into another form of slavery.
Correct.
Um, Number three, I just appreciate so much, and you went into it. Actually, Ryan has been working on this. I think he said he's been working on this for about 4 years now. So definitely since the pandemic, when we were all quarantined together, this is what he bust out. So I think it just amazes me. So much detail went into it. I could go on and on and on.
Right.
I really do hope though that something else comes from this project. Maybe in the form of a comic book. That would be amazing.
Ooh. But yeah,
Some
everyone keeps
graphic
saying
design.
sequel, prequel, but meet across mediums. I like that.
Yeah, I just, thinking about the story and thinking about, Remick's character personally, and the fact that Ryan Coogler has, said time and time again, his projects will always focus on the Black experience, which is great. But, when you have side characters like Remick, when you have side characters like, the white couple or the Choctaw, people
Absolutely.
want to know more about that. So I just, I think a graphic novel, or yeah, that would be amazing. Thank
That would be
you.
beautiful. Thank you so much for joining. I love that you were like, no one's talking about this. No one's talking about this. That's exactly why we're here at What We Watch. You heard it first from allegedly Adrian that there wasn't enough about the wooden coins, which was a very distinct and purposeful scene with the Irish beer and the Italian beer and the kind of beer that was discussed previously with Delroy, which is how we got Delroy Lindo's character to join because of all the delicious beer and showing the value of what that was based on the wooden coin not being enough. That is very, thank you so much for being in this space. That is why we're here at What We Watch, because when everybody else not talking about it, you have the space to talk about it. The things that made you feel seen, the things that made you as a Black American or me as a Black Latina, or anyone as a Chinese American, anyone as a Choctaw, anyone that is 1/8 Black. Okay, you are in this movie. Okay, I promise you, it's for you. It's for us. It's for everyone. And I think Ryan Coogler kind of embodies that. And so I want to wrap up by saying, and I want to let Jess and KP speak as well. But this last portion, I'd really like us to focus on what are we going to do next, right? When no one is talking about sinners anymore, how are you going to continue to celebrate Black independent filmmakers? Because I'm gonna tell you one thing: this is what the fuck happens when you do. Things like this happen when you actually care about your work and you do the Kodak video, right, Kieran? The Kodak video, and you talk about the care that you put into your work and you go on this press tour and you do those YouTube interviews for no money at all and you go and talk about it because there were hundreds of people that were involved in the success of this film. That's important. So I want you as a What We Watcher, as a viewer, as a filmmaker, lover now, to understand and think about what's the next step, right? And that's why I created What We Watch and my annual film festival, because I'm seeing the Ryan Cooglers today in 2023, 2024, and 2025. I'm seeing them, I'm uplifting them to make sure that when y'all are talking about it on whatever social media app, happens in 15 years, probably the What We Watch app, right? That we can say that we peeped the Jordan Peele, right? We peeped the Nikyatu Jusu, right? Shout out to her, the nanny, wonderful What We Watch supporter, and the nanny is on Amazon Prime Video. Horror, right? Jordan Peele, Ryan Coogler, even there's so many directors. Regina King is a wonderful director as well. So these Black independent filmmakers, I want to know how you are going to continue to celebrate us, right? Because you see what happens when we got the money, we cook. We cook. We know ball. So, Jess, talk to me. How are you going to celebrate filmmakers moving forward?
Man, I'm gonna celebrate them moving forward by continuing to like find myself in spaces like this to have the conversations, to like praise not only the actors and the work that went behind it that you can feel in it, but like I even want to say like there's two things that I really want to say. They go
Please.
to what you were talking about in terms of the people who were working, and I also just want to shout out, I'm a project manager as well. I'm a marketing, I'm a brand, I'm in marketing. So I just want to give like a quick shout out to the marketing team, Ryan and the marketing team, because there was a lot of conversation about, what does his deal and him getting ownership back in 25 years and plus, some profits for the box office sales in the immediate future. What does that mean? And how will this change the industry? But I want to say my hope is that what this movie has done, and to your point about the future, is I hope it lights a fire under creators' butts to put excellence on the screen again, right? And that
Yep.
that push towards like IMAX, like we're talking about IMAX, we're talking about who went to 70 millimeter, who went and saw it in this particular way. Like when I went to see it, I know I couldn't have just gone to see it in like on a regular screen,
You
on a regular
wanted to
viewing.
see it
I
70
found that
millimeters.
IMAX. I had to find that IMAX. You know what I mean? And so my hope is that what this does for the future is that it inspires creators again to be creative and to find the detail in the work. Like let's see the beauty of the cotton field. Like when the juke joint was on fire, let's see the flames, let's see the lighting, let's see the shifts in all of the movements. Like I hope this allows us to fall in love with the detail of making art again, because what Ryan did and how we marketed it was absolutely brilliant. And
Man,
my
Jess,
only
yes.
my last comment about the film, because yeah, I was in the first base for a little bit, but I kept it super brief because it was lit. It was lit like the juke joint. There was a lot of conversation. There could be a
I
Sinners
let my
part
sinners
three.
in, honey.
There's a lot going on. But what I will say is like, and if this came up, then it came up. But what I found very interesting is just the film not only being an exercise in, yes, fun horror, and he took it back to the 30s and the time space where vampires themselves could be, like a metaphor, right? Like there's a lot of talk about cultural
Correct.
appropriation and Remick's character, and by the way, he was very slick when he stood outside that juke joint and said, like, they were never gonna let you guys be free. Like I bit some of them, and they're coming to kill y'all in the morning. Like you're actually on a killing floor. You're not where you think you are.
You
So
at the
why not just
slaughterhouse,
come out
honey.
here? Why not just come out here, right? Like that was kind of wild. But
Yep.
my only thing is like I found the whole film, outside of all of the awesome points that everyone's already said, it kind of made me sit back and reflect on freedom in so many perspectives, freedoms from so
Mm.
many sides and angles, because the movie starts with Sammy being told, to find freedom in his faith. Right? His father trying to tell him where he can find freedom. And he
Yep.
picks up his guitar and he said, I can find freedom in my music. And his cousins are telling him, one cousin is saying, find freedom in wherever you can find it.
Not
Like,
over here in
go
this Delta, child.
go where
Right.
you got to go, do what you got to do, you know what I mean? Like Delroy Slim, right? Like Delroy Lindo's character, you meet him and he's playing his harmonica, and you can tell that he's found freedom in alcohol, and because of the traumatic experiences that he sees. And that scene of Delroy Lindo telling the story, oh my god, like, okay, we could talk about this forever, but I just, even him, right, you see where he finds freedom.
Yep.
Like, and I just found it
I
a
love
very
that.
interesting meditation, right? Especially as a young black woman, on what that can mean, what that could look like. Like Ryan Coogler deserves all the flowers. I very much look forward to what he wants to do in the future. That last scene of Stack and Mary. I mean, like I like I just made a joke to
We had
my
a
friends,
great
like, are
time.
we gonna get the loving Virginia vampire movie? Like, is the sequel
Loving
gonna
versus
be
Virginia.
is
Man.
the sequel gonna be them, like, venturing out through the ages and realizing that no one will ever let them be? Like, anyways,
That.
there's so much that
Nah.
can happen, and I love it.
No, thank you, Jess. Just so you know, guys, what we watched, happy what we watched Wednesday. This is Sinners Chat Part 2. That was Jess, an OG. Jess, if I may just celebrate you, this is an OG. Jess been with me since day one. I want you to know that. All of you in this room, If this is your first day, I'm glad you're here because we're not going nowhere. It's only going up from here. I'm trying to tell you, like, the app is coming. This is going to be available to you all day, every day. Okay, you can host your own, right, at some point. Like, it's coming, everything is happening. So thank you, Jess has talked to me about everything from industry to Euphoria to Game of Thrones to Spider Verse to now Sinners on a second time. So thank you so much. Those I appreciate you always including that. And the theme of freedom is very important because I think Remick never said freedom, right? If I'm remembering correctly, And if this space is nothing else but the affirmation, determination, and encouragement to watch this movie again, I don't know what is. You need to watch it a second time, and most likely a third and a fourth and a fifth time. I want you to make sure that you are watching this film and really enjoying every little bit of it because that is why we are here. But truly, again, Remick said fellowship and love, right? Which in his form is that form of freedom that you're talking about, Jess, right? I'm obsessed with that. I'm obsessed with the villains kind of bars, right? If you go and you subscribe on YouTube at underscore what we watch, you'll see that throughout all of my chats for the past 5 years, I love a villain. I love a villain with some good bars. I love a persuasive villain. I'm telling you, Remick, you bite me in the right place where I'm still kind of cute and I'm not bleeding everywhere. You might could get me. Fuck it. Let's do a little dance, right? This juke joint was kind of smelling crazy, anyways. So I want to go be with my man. So I really appreciate that. But this was Sinners Chat Part 2. I want what we watch to announce our $200 gift card winner. We encourage you to use some of that money to go back to the movie theater and watch it. But we do have a winner for. We have a winner. Can we please announce the winner? Can you tell me who the winner is?
Yes, drawing up the raffle now.
And this is a raffle. This is completely all you had to do was enter by subscribing, commenting hashtag sinners, and you get a $200 gift card to use wherever you want.
And the winner is at ePark 1017 or 1016, apologies.
Is E Park in the room? Yes, he is. Come on up, E Park. Yes, I'm so glad you're here to hear that you won. Can you bring E Park up, please? Let me see. Do we need to kick some people down? I'm bringing you up, E Park, if you want to. If not, it's all good. You ain't got to speak. You see, E Park, happy what we watch Wednesday. Oh, you're here. You won.
Oh wow, no, that was shocking.
I'm so happy for
Nice,
you. Tell me a
nice,
little bit
nice.
about why you love what we watch and why you're here.
Well, so I told you on Twitter. I saw the last one. I watched the last one. That was the first time I'd actually watched, and I was mesmerized. I was like, wow, this is a really dope community. And I think I relate to the story that you told about how when you were younger, there was going to the movies was like your vacation. That was it for us too. Like that was what we did. Like me, my mom, my sister, we
Yeah.
would go to the movies every week, and it was like a communal experience for us. So I felt like home in the community, like watching, and so even tonight, just listening to this, I'm also kind of working and watching basketball
No
simultaneously, but I
worries.
had
Yeah,
to,
yeah, yeah.
I had to listen, and I was just like, I love the format, I love the story. The one thing I wanted to say about Sinners, real quick,
Yeah, of
that
course.
nobody really touched on,
Okay, please.
is I loved the the cinematography of it and how sweaty everybody was. And I know that
Mm.
seems strange, but if you think about a juke joint and how hot it probably was, like it was probably 1,000,000 degrees in that juke joint, right? So
We
the
in
fact that
Mississippi
they kept
Delta, honey. Yeah.
right, so the fact that they captured that, and it probably was funky in there, but the fact that they captured like, everybody, go watch it again. Everybody had arm sweat, like everybody was like it was hot as hell in there, and I was like,
I,
damn, they
I
really
want to
got this
let
down
you. I
down
want
to
to
the
let you
detail.
know. So forgive me for interrupting. That is not acting, by the way. It actually was very hot where they were shooting. It was
Okay,
very hot. I'm not want to say it's not acting. Let me not take away from the skill of everyone, okay? But there's
it was forced basically.
yeah, there's it's not surrealism, but there's like a director like Ryan Coogler, a director like me, like we gonna get into it. We're not
Okay.
pretending. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna put heaters on you. I'm not gonna splash you with water. Get in here and dance. All right? Get in
Yeah.
here and put all this clothes on. Don't put no AC on. We ain't got no AC. We're not bringing no fans. I want you to sweat. We'll have people make sure that you don't look like you're, actually swimming, right? We're gonna make sure the cameraman gets you right on in the right angle. We're gonna edit it post
Yeah.
so that everything looks real, but it needs to feel real because it is real. And that's how you shoot on film. We don't have that many takes. We don't get to digitally do this and that and the third. So it's very real. So I appreciate you calling that out. It's true. We're at a juke joint. You're at the club.
Right. Right. Right.
Hmm.
And I peeped that. And I remember I was watching. I was thinking like, damn, how is it in there? Like I was looking at everybody. You could see the beads of sweat. It was amazing. Like just that was
Yeah,
one
look
thing
up
though that was one thing that really caught my attention though was like how hot it really looked.
how they did the scene where you first meet Smoke and Stack and he hands him the cigarette. It's fucking brilliant.
Okay.
Breezy, I know
Okay. I'm
you
gonna check that
probably
out.
sent it to me or saw it to me or I saw it myself, but um, you need to look at that. And he talks about how much he was sweating and how he had to dab. I mean, I'm sweating right now, child. How the makeup artist had to be there to dab and make sure everything was seamless shot on film like that. So thank you so much. We had our
But thank you.
$200 winner.
I appreciate it. I'm
We
definitely
will
taking it back
be
to the movies.
Yes, take it back to the movies, take it wherever, but definitely take it back to see Sinners again. This was Sinners Chat Part 2. Happy What We Watch Wednesday. I don't know. We do have some more sweepstakes coming. So don't feel bad. EP, you won this time, but maybe we'll have another winner. So make sure, please, that you subscribe to our YouTube and listen to all of our chats, and make sure you follow us on Instagram at What We Watch Film TV. Make sure you're tapped in for that app coming. I got y'all. This is what we watch. Bye.